All right, on this very first episode, we're gonna talk about air squats, AMRAPS, and why is it called RX? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of The Shape Up. My name is Matt Dawkins. I'm excited. This is episode 1, and we're going to start talking about things that matter. In every single episode, we're going to start with our definition of CrossFit. What is CrossFit? We believe CrossFit is this perfect collision between functional fitness and social life, right? Where we get in here and we do movements. We focus on movements, not muscles. And community is the secret sauce. And for those of you that have been a part of CrossFit for long enough, you realize that you get to a point where it doesn't matter what's written on the board, what the workout is for the day, as long as you get to do it with the community that you've grown to know and love. So here we are talking about CrossFit, talking about what makes CrossFit amazing, but also helping people understand it a little bit better. So in CrossFit, one of the paramount movements is the air squat. And so we're going to talk about that today and talk about, Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, calls it the quintessential hip extension movement, right? We can look at athletes and realize that as we separate our feet and we drop our hips down to get the hip crease below the knee and we come back out, that coaches can look at athletes and how they squat and determine how they're going to jump and run and throw and punch. And it is almost across the board an incredible indicator of how athletic a person is. It also evokes an incredible, what's called a neuroendocrine response, which is really cool for all levels and ages and abilities because that helps with hormonal regulation, right? Movement, like medicine, can help our body begin to regulate itself and rebuild systems in the body so that it can become phenomenal. We tell all our athletes early on in the journey that one day you're gonna take a seat on a toilet and you're not gonna be able to get back up. And at that point, somebody's gonna have to come live with you and you're gonna become dependent on somebody else to help you meet your own basic needs, and you're gonna become a burden and not a blessing. And our goal is to help everybody in 20 and 30 years from now, as far as it's within our control, to be blessings, not burdens. We're desperate for that. So the air squat, not only is it helping us create awareness for sitting and standing and how we'll function, but we have the ability through an air squat to hedge our bet against chronic disease and a lot of the ailments that are coming our world's way, right? We have the ability to combat those things and be a blessing in 20 years. So we want to keep people in a position where they can get off the toilet on their own for as long as possible, right? Every now and then you're going to see an air squat show up in something called an AMRAP, okay? What is an AMRAP? An AMRAP stands for as many rounds or reps as possible, right? And the focus in an AMRAP is intensity, right? And intensity is a pretty big focus in CrossFit because I'm geeking out for a second, but go there with me. Intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with favorable adaptation to exercise. In other words, intensity or power is what changes our bodies. If we want to get lean, if we want to get strong, fast, more flexible, more conditioning, more accuracy, agility, balance, if we want to get better, intensity is almost always the answer. So we love intensity, and AMRAPS allow us to do that. And we begin to learn over the course of time the proper intensity for shorter and longer AMRAPS, but you sort of have to jump in the fire to figure some of those things out. But we love that. And every now and then that AMRAP may be written on the board, and as it's written, it is sort of prescribed. We talked about how movement's like medicine earlier. We prescribe every single day at CrossFit Sacred Pine specific workouts. And we want to give you some insight into how that works. So for us, a prescription is written for the top 10% of abilities in our box. The majority of us, including myself, often will scale based on the prescription, right, that's written on the board. The prescription is written for the top 10%. Most of us are going to scale movements, but when you see RX, and we don't use that very much because it's disunifying. We used to write scores on the board and we'd write RX if it was done as written on the board. We don't really do that anymore because it's disunifying, but we prescribe those workouts every single day. And now that we have fitness tracks in the box, we're able to write even more individualized prescriptions and be able to do more. So what is RX? RX just means as written, and that's what you see on the board every day. Listen, we're excited. This is just episode 1 of the Shape Up CrossFit for Beginners, but if you've been doing this for years, still listen in. Enjoy these short form audio and video podcasts. And listen, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, you can leave us a review, but we're excited. The future looks bright. 6 to 8 minutes is what you're going to get with these podcasts, and we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next week on the Shape Up.